The Great Hall of the Galactic Confederation was the largest room that Daniel Morrison had ever seen. It was bigger than 10 football fields put together. The walls were made of blue crystal that glowed with soft light. Hundreds of alien beings sat in floating chairs that circled around a central platform. This was where the most powerful beings in the galaxy came to make decisions. Daniel was a human. He was 52 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent 30 years as a diplomat, talking to aliens and trying to keep peace between Earth and the rest of the galaxy. Today, he had a message to deliver. It was a message that his government had told him to give. He did not think the aliens would listen, but he had to try. Humanity had joined the Galactic Confederation 50 years ago. When humans first traveled beyond their solar system, they found that the galaxy was full of life. There were thousands of alien species. Some looked like insects. Some looked like living light. Some looked like nothing humans had ever imagined. The Confederation was their government, a collection of the oldest and most powerful species who made rules for everyone else. Humans were new. Humans were weak. At least, that is what the aliens believed. Daniel stepped onto the central platform. His translator device was attached to his ear. It would change his words into sounds that each alien species could understand. Members of the High Council, Daniel began. I come before you today with a message from the Terran Republic. It is a message of peace, but also a message of warning. The aliens watched him with many different kinds of eyes. Some had 2 eyes like humans. Some had dozens of tiny eyes. Some had no eyes at all, but could still see through other senses. For 50 years, humanity has been a good member of this confederation, Daniel continued. We have followed your laws. We have traded fairly. We have not started any wars. We have tried to be good neighbors to all species. High Chancellor Zorvax made a clicking sound with his mouth parts. He was a Kethrani, an insect-like being that stood 3 meters tall. His body was covered in hard black shell. His eyes were large and red. The Kethrani were one of the oldest species in the galaxy. They believed they were better than everyone else. Yes, Zorvax said. The humans have been quiet and obedient. What is your point, Ambassador? Daniel took a deep breath. My point, Chancellor, is that what you have seen from humanity is not all that we are. We have been holding back. The ships you have seen, the weapons you have studied, the soldiers you have observed. These represent only a small part of what we can do. Silence fell over the great hall. Then, slowly, laughter began. It started with the Kethrani and spread to other species. The sound of alien laughter filled the crystal chamber. The human thinks his species is strong, Zorvax said when the laughter died down. How amusing. We have studied your kind, Ambassador. Your bodies are soft and break easily. Your ships are slow and poorly armed. Your species took 300 years to discover faster than light travel. The Kethrani did it in 50. A being of pure light floated forward. This was Ethon, representative of the Valori. The Valori were energy beings who had existed for millions of years. They believed they understood everything. We have analyzed human military capability, Ethon said. His voice sounded like music. You have adequate defenses for your small territory. You are not a threat to anyone. Why do you come here with such claims? Daniel looked at Admiral Katie Sullivan, who stood behind him. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and scars on her arms. She had commanded warships for 30 years. She knew what humanity could really do. Katie gave him a small nod. Keep going, her eyes said. I am not making threats, Daniel said carefully. I am giving you information. The Terran Republic believes in honesty. We are telling you the truth about our capabilities so that there are no misunderstandings. If any member of this confederation attacks human space, The response will not be what you expect. We want peace, but we are ready for war if war comes to us. A large reptilian being spoke next. This was Ambassador Crevice of the Draven Syndicate. The Draven were traders and sometimes pirates. They had clashed with human merchant ships many times. This is foolish boasting, Crevice hissed. The humans try to scare us with words because they cannot scare us with weapons. I have seen their ships. I have fought their patrols. They are nothing special. You have seen what we wanted you to see, Katie Sullivan said, stepping forward. Nothing more. More laughter came from the council. The aliens did not believe. They could not believe that these soft, short-lived creatures could be hiding real power. Daniel felt sadness in his heart. He had known this would happen. Humans were young compared to these ancient species. The aliens had made up their minds about humanity long ago. Nothing he said would change their thinking. Then I have nothing more to say, Daniel announced. Let the record show that on this day, the Terran Republic formally warned the Galactic Confederation about our true military capabilities. We hope this warning will never need to be proven true. He turned and walked off the platform. Katie followed him. Behind them, the aliens continued to laugh and joke about the foolish humans, who thought they were strong as they walked through the crystal corridors toward their shuttle. Katie spoke quietly. They did not listen. No, Daniel agreed. They did not. What happens now? Daniel looked out a window at the alien sky. 3 moons hung above the horizon, beautiful and strange. Now we go home. We tell our government that we delivered the warning. And we wait. Wait for what? For them to do something stupid. 6 months passed. The warning was forgotten by most of the galaxy. It became a joke that aliens told each other. Did you hear about the humans who think they are warriors? Very funny, but the Kethrani Empire did not forget. High Chancellor Zorvax was also the military commander of his species. He had been thinking about the human worlds for a long time. Humans controlled 3 star systems that had valuable resources. Metals, rare elements, water. Things the Kethrani wanted. The human warning had insulted him. It had made him look foolish in front of the council. He would teach them a lesson. In the dark spaces between stars, 400 Kethrani warships gathered. They were large vessels with powerful weapons. They had conquered dozens of species over thousands of years. The Kethrani had never lost a war. Fleet Commander Tyrix stood on the bridge of his flagship. He was eager for battle. The humans would fall quickly. They would learn their place in the galaxy. They would learn that their warning meant nothing. Set course for human space, Tyrix commanded. Target the Proxima Centauri system. We will take their colony world and show the galaxy what happens to species who insult the Kethrani Empire. The fleet jumped to faster than light speed. The stars blurred around them. They did not know that they were flying toward a truth that would change everything. Terra had warned them. They had laughed. They would not laugh for long. Commander Ryan Peters was sleeping when the alarm woke him. The sound was loud and sharp. It meant only one thing. Enemy ships had entered the system. He jumped out of his bed and ran to the bridge of his ship, the TDC Relentless. His feet were still bare, and his uniform was not fully closed. None of that mattered. What mattered was getting to his command chair as fast as possible. The Relentless was stationed in the Proxima Centauri system. This was humanity's closest colony to Earth. Nearly 2 million people lived on the planet below. Farmers, scientists, teachers, children. Ryan's job was to protect them. Lieutenant Amy Chun was already at her station when Ryan arrived. She was young, only 25 years old, but she was the best sensor operator in the fleet. Report, Ryan said as he sat down in his chair. 400 contacts, Commander, Amy said. Her voice was steady, but Ryan could see fear in her eyes. Kethrani signatures. They are forming attack positions around the colony. 400 ships. Ryan looked at his tactical display. The Relentless was one of 3 Terran destroyers in the system. 3 ships against 400. The math was very bad, but Ryan knew something the Kethrani did not know. Send a message to Earth, Ryan ordered. Authorization code Omega-7. Tell High Command that the veil is lifted. Communications Officer Ben Tucker typed the message and sent it through the quantum relay. The message would reach Earth in seconds, faster than any normal signal could travel. Thousands of light years away, in a bunker deep under the Rocky Mountains, General Nathan Price received the message. He was an old man with white hair and a face full of wrinkles. He had served in the Terran military for 40 years. He had hoped this day would never come. It is happening, Nathan said to his staff. Activate Protocol Revelation. All assets are cleared for full engagement. No more holding back. He pressed a button on his console. Across all of human space, military officers received the same order. The pretending was over. It was time to show the galaxy what humanity had been hiding. Back in the Proxima system, strange things began to happen. The defense platforms around the colony had always looked small and weak. Kethrani intelligence said they were simple observation posts with light weapons. But now, panels on these platforms began to open. Hidden weapons emerged from inside. Railguns, plasma cannons, missile launchers. Dozens of them on each platform. The 3 Terran destroyers began to change too. What had looked like communication dishes folded away to reveal heavy beam weapons. Armor plating that seemed decorative slid apart to show rows of gun ports. The ship's engines flared brighter as they switched to full military power. Fleet. Commander Tyrix watched these changes on his display. He did not understand what he was seeing. What is happening? He demanded. Those weapons are not in our intelligence reports. His tactical officer worked frantically at his console. Sir, I am reading power levels that should not be possible from ships that size. They're weapons. I do not recognize the signatures. A communication signal came from the human station. Ryan Peters appeared on the main screen. He looked calm. Too calm for a man facing 400 enemy ships. Fleet Commander Tyrix, Ryan said. You have entered Terran sovereign space with hostile intent. Under Confederation law, we are allowed to defend ourselves. I am offering you one chance to leave. Take your ships and go home. This does not have to end in death. Tyrix made a sound that was like laughter. One chance? Human, you have 3 small ships. I have 400 warships. Your arrogance is amusing but foolish. Surrender now, and I will let some of your people live. Ryan shook his head slowly. We warned you. Your council laughed at our ambassador. You were told that what you see is not all that we are. You did not listen. Now you will learn. He turned to his crew. Relentless, furious, and steadfast. Weapons free. Show them what we held back. The battle began. Tyrus expected an easy fight. The humans would fire their weak weapons. The Kethrani shields would block them. Then the Kethrani would destroy the human ships and take the colony. That is not what happened. The first shots from the Relentless passed through Kethrani shields like they were not there. The railgun rounds traveled at speeds that Kethrani sensors could barely track. They punched through the armor of 3 Kethrani cruisers in less than 1 second. The ships exploded in balls of fire. Impossible, Tyrix whispered. More human weapons fired. The defense platforms launched missiles that moved faster than any missile the Kethrani had ever seen. The missiles could change direction instantly. They could not be fooled by decoys. They found their targets and destroyed them. The Kethrani fired back. Hundreds of weapons aimed at the 3 human destroyers. But the humans had point defense systems that the Kethrani did not know about. Tiny guns that fired thousands of rounds per second. They shot down incoming missiles and energy blasts before they could hit. All ships, focus fire on the lead human vessel, Tyrix commanded. 50 Kethrani ships turned their weapons on the Relentless. They fired everything they had. For a moment, the human ship disappeared behind explosions and energy blasts. When the fire cleared, the Relentless was still there. Its shields glowed bright, but they had not fallen. How? Tyrix demanded. How is this possible? Amy Chun reported from her station. Commander, enemy formation is breaking. They are trying to spread out to avoid our fire. Do not let them, Ryan ordered. All ships, engage pursuit protocols. Drive them toward the gravity trap. The 3 human destroyers moved. They accelerated at speeds that should have crushed their crews. But human inertial dampeners were far more advanced than anyone knew. The ships turned and spun and fired with perfect precision. More Kethrani ships died. 10, 20, 50. The humans were everywhere at once, striking from angles the Kethrani could not predict. Some Kethrani captains tried to run. They turned their ships toward open space and tried to jump to faster than light speed. But nothing happened. Their jump drives would not work. Why can we not escape? A captain screamed over the communication channel. The answer was a device that humanity had built in secret. A gravity well generator. It created a field of gravity that prevented faster than light travel. The Confederation believed this technology was impossible. Humanity had made it work 10 years ago. The Kethrani were trapped. The battle lasted 14 minutes. When it was over, 312 Kethrani ships were destroyed. 88 had surrendered. Their crews floated in escape pods, waiting to be captured. 0 human ships were lost. The Relentless had some damage to its outer hull. The Steadfast had lost 1 weapon array. The Furious was completely untouched. Ryan Peters looked at the destruction on his screen. Broken ships. Bodies floating in space. He felt no joy in this victory. These were living beings who had died because their leaders were arrogant and foolish. Send rescue ships, Ryan ordered. Pick up all survivors. Kethrani and human alike. Treat the wounded. Give them food and water. Sir? Ben Tucker looked confused. They attacked us. They wanted to kill our people. Yes, they did. And we stopped them. But we are not monsters, Lieutenant. We do not let people die when we can save them. Bring them aboard. Show them who we really are. The rescue operations began. Kethrani soldiers who had expected death found themselves being pulled from the void by human hands. Human doctors treated their wounds. Human officers gave them blankets and warm drinks. Thought it was not what they expected. On the bridge of his badly damaged flagship, Commander Tyrix was taken prisoner. He looked at the human Marines who surrounded him. Their armor was like nothing he had seen. Their weapons could cut through Kethrani shell with ease. Why are you helping us? Tyrix asked. We came to kill you. The Marine commander, a woman named Lisa Powell, looked at him with calm eyes. Because that is what humans do, she said. We fight hard, but we also show mercy. Remember that when you tell your empire what happened here today, Tyrix would remember. He would remember everything. And when he finally returned home, he would tell his people the truth. The humans had been holding back. They had warned the galaxy. And now everyone would learn what that warning really meant. The news of the Battle of Proxima spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Every species heard what had happened. The mighty Kethrani Empire had sent 400 warships to crush a human colony. 3 human ships had destroyed them all in 14 minutes. Thought it was impossible. It was unbelievable. But it was true. The Galactic Confederation called an emergency meeting. Every representative came. The Great Crystal Hall was full of worried aliens who could not understand what they had just learned about. Humanity. Ambassador Daniel Morrison walked to the central platform again. This time, no one was laughing. The alien eyes that watched him were filled with fear. High Chancellor Zorvax spoke first. His voice was not proud anymore. It was shaking. How? Zorvax demanded. How did you hide this from us for 50 years? Our spies watched your shipyards. Our scientists studied your technology. We saw nothing that could do what your ships did at Proxima. Daniel allowed himself a small smile. He had waited a long time for this moment. Chancellor, your spies saw exactly what we wanted them to see. We built 2 fleets. The first fleet was for show. It matched what you expected from a young species. Slow ships. Weak weapons. Adequate but not impressive. Your spies reported on this fleet because it was all they could find. And the second fleet? Ethon de Valori asked. His light form flickered with nervousness. The second fleet has been training in deep space. In territories we never told the Confederation about. For 50 years, our best engineers and soldiers have been preparing for the day when someone decided to attack us. That day came. Your empire attacked us, Chancellor. And now you know the truth. Admiral Katie Sullivan stepped forward. She activated a holographic display that appeared above the platform. It showed images and numbers that made every alien in the room freeze with horror. This is the Terran Defense Force, Katie said. Not the 12% we showed you before. The full force. The display showed 17 massive carrier ships. Each carrier held 300 strike fighters. It showed orbital defense platforms around every human colony. Platforms that could crack a planet in half if needed. It showed ground forces that numbered in the millions, soldiers with armor and weapons that no species had ever seen. We have capabilities we have not even used yet, Katie continued. The weapons at Proxima were not our best weapons. They were adequate weapons. We have things that we hope we never have to show anyone. The chamber was silent. The most powerful species in the galaxy were looking at humanity with new eyes. The young species. The weak species. The species that everyone had laughed at. They were not laughing now. Across the galaxy, the Kethrani Empire was dealing with its shame. Emperor Vecthos sat on his throne in the great high chamber of his homeworld. Around him, his war council waited for orders. The humans made fools of us, Vecthos snarled. His mandibles clicked with rage. They destroyed our fleet. They captured our soldiers. They showed the galaxy that the Kethrani can be beaten. This insult cannot stand. His military advisor, Korath, spoke carefully. He was old and had many scars from many wars. My emperor, perhaps we should consider another path. The humans defeated 400 ships with 3. If their full fleet is as large as they claim, we cannot win a direct war against them. Cannot win? Vecthos rose from his throne. He was huge, even for a Kethrani. The Empire has never lost a war. We have conquered dozens of species. We have ruled our region of space for 10,000 years. One defeat does not mean we cannot win. It was not just a defeat, Korath said softly. It was a complete destruction. We lost 300 ships. They lost none. These numbers suggest that their technology is far beyond ours. Vecthos stared at his advisor with hatred in his eyes. But he did not kill him. Korath was too valuable to waste. Then we will not fight them alone, Vecthos decided. Other species hate the humans too. The Draven Syndicate lost trade routes when humans expanded into their territory. The Morvith Collective fears human influence. The Vorn Dominion believes humans are too aggressive. We will unite these species against Earth. One fleet could not beat the humans. 10 fleets will crush them. The plan was set in motion. Kathrani diplomats travel across the galaxy. They spoke of the human threat. They showed false evidence of human aggression. They promised shared rewards when humanity fell. Many species refused to join. They had seen what happened at Proxima. They did not want to make the same mistake the Kathrani had made. But some species said yes. The Draven Syndicate joined. They were reptilian traitors who believed that war against humanity would make them rich. The Morvith Collective joined. They were hive-minded beings who feared any species they could not understand. The Vorn Dominion joined. They were warriors who respected strength and wanted to test themselves against human soldiers. 9 more species joined for various reasons: greed, fear, pride, anger. Within 3 months, the coalition of righteous species was formed. 12 civilizations united against humanity. They gathered 9,000 warships and 2 trillion soldiers. It was the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. On Earth, President Michelle Torres received reports about the growing coalition. She was a woman of 60 years with dark hair and sharp eyes. She had led humanity through many crises. This would be the greatest challenge of her life. She called the Terran Senate to a closed meeting. The senators represented billions of human lives across 12 star systems. They needed to decide what to do. "They are coming," Michelle told them. "We gave them every chance for peace. We warned them about our true strength. We showed mercy to their prisoners at Proxima. We offered to negotiate. They refused everything. Now they bring 9,000 ships to destroy us." Senator Frank Adams spoke. He was a young man who represented the Mars colonies. "Can we win against such numbers? 9,000 ships is far more than our fleet. Our fleet is smaller, but our technology is greater," Admiral Sullivan answered. She had come to speak to the Senate. "At Proxima, 3 of our ships destroyed 400 of theirs. Our advantage is not just numbers. It is everything. Better weapons, better shields, better tactics, better training. But 9,000 ships," another senator said. "Even with better technology, can we win?" Katie looked at President Torres. The president nodded. "There are things we have not revealed yet," Katie said. "Even after Proxima, we held back. We have weapons and defenses that the coalition cannot imagine. We can win this war. The question is not whether we can win. The question is how much of ourselves we want to show." President Torres stood. "That is the decision before us today. For 50 years, we tried to join this galaxy peacefully. We hid our strength because we wanted trust, not fear. We wanted to be good neighbors. The galaxy rejected our friendship. They called us weak. They attacked our people. Now they come to finish what they started." She looked at each senator in turn. "Do we continue holding back? Do we try more diplomacy while they prepare to burn our worlds? Or do we show them everything? Do we end this threat forever?" The debate lasted 3 hours. Some senators wanted peace at any cost. Some wanted to show just enough force to make the coalition back down. But most understood the truth. The coalition would not stop. They would keep coming until humanity was destroyed, or until humanity proved that it could never be destroyed. The vote was taken. It was unanimous. Terra would stop holding back. The full power of humanity would be revealed. The coalition wanted a war with humans. They would get one, but it would not be the war they expected. It would be a war they could not win. It would be a war that would change the galaxy forever. President Torres sent one final message to the coalition. A warning, just like the first one. Turn back. Disband your fleet. Choose peace. This is your last chance. The coalition laughed at the message. Emperor Vecthos broadcast his response to the whole galaxy. The humans still think words can save them. They will learn. We will teach them with fire and death. The war was coming, and humanity was ready. The Coalition fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system on a cold morning in January. 9,000 warships from 12 different species formed a wall of metal and weapons that stretched across millions of kilometers. It was the largest invasion force in galactic history. Emperor Vecthos stood on the bridge of his massive dreadnought, the Pride of Kethra. It was the biggest ship in the Coalition fleet. It carried weapons that could burn cities and armor that could survive a direct hit from a small moon. "Look at them," Vecthos said to his officers. "The humans hide behind their little planet. They think their tricks from Proxima will save them again. They are wrong." In front of the Coalition fleet, the Terran First Fleet waited. Fleet Admiral Scott Bradley counted 47 capital ships and 300 smaller vessels under his command. It was the largest Terran fleet ever assembled. It was still outnumbered 200 to 1. Scott was 63 years old. He had gray hair and a calm face. He had fought in many battles during his long career. He had lost friends. He had made hard choices. But he had never faced anything like this. "Admiral, the Coalition is sending a message," Communications Officer Larm Mitchell reported. "Put it through." Emperor Vecthos appeared on the main screen. His insect face showed triumph. "Admiral Bradley, I give you one chance to surrender. Hand over all your military technology. Accept occupation of your worlds. Do this, and your civilian population will be allowed to live as servants of the Coalition." Scott almost smiled. "You want us to become slaves. I want you to become what you always were. A weak species that pretended to be strong. Your time is over, human. Surrender or die." Scott looked at his crew. Young faces. Old faces. Men and women who had trained their whole lives for this moment. They were not afraid. They were ready. "Coalition forces, this is Fleet Admiral Scott Bradley of the Terran Defense Force. I am required by our laws to offer you one final chance to withdraw. Take it, and we can begin peace talks. Refuse, and you will learn why humanity warned you we were holding back." Vecthos laughed. The sound was ugly and harsh. "Your fleet is nothing. We have 9,000 ships. You have less than 400. This is your end, Admiral. Attack!" The Coalition fleet began to move forward. Thousands of engines flared. Thousands of weapons charged. It was like watching an ocean of death sweep toward Earth. "All Terran forces," Scott said calmly. "Authorization code Prometheus Rising. Engage Protocol Omega. Show them everything." Throughout the Sol system, the trap was sprung. The asteroid belt had always seemed empty. Coalition scouts had checked it many times. They found only rocks floating in space. Nothing dangerous. Nothing important. They were wrong. Thousands of asteroids began to open. Hidden doors revealed weapon platforms that had been built inside the rocks over decades. Railguns, missile launchers, beam weapons, energy cannons. All of them powered up at once. All of them aimed at the Coalition fleet. The gas giant Jupiter had been considered useless for military purposes. Coalition intelligence said humans had some research stations there. Nothing that mattered. They were wrong about that too. Massive orbital stations emerged from Jupiter's clouds. These were not research stations. They were carrier bases. Doors opened and swarms of fighters launched into space. Thousands of tiny ships, each one deadly. And then there was Earth itself. The Coalition had expected to threaten the human homeworld. They had expected to use fear of Earth's destruction to force surrender. They did not expect what came next. From the oceans of Earth, enormous structures rose. From the deserts. From the mountains. From the polar ice caps. These were planetary defense systems that humanity had been building for 200 years. They had been hidden underground, underwater, beneath ice and sand. Nobody had ever seen them dot until now. Emperor Vecthos watched his tactical display fill with new contacts. Thousands of them. Tens of thousands. His officers shouted in confusion and fear. "What is this?" Vecthos demanded. "Where did these weapons come from?" No one could answer him. Admiral Bradley's voice came through one more time. "You asked what we held back. Here is your answer. All Terran forces, engage." The Battle of Sol began. The first wave of coalition ships ran straight into the asteroid defenses. Railgun rounds tore through their shields and armor. Ships exploded in chains of fire. Captains screamed orders, but their ships died before they could respond. The Draven Syndicate tried to flank around the asteroids. They ran into the Jupiter carrier groups. Human fighters swarmed over them like angry bees. The reptilian ships were fast and well-armed, but the human pilots were better. Years of training. Decades of preparation. Every move was perfect. Every shot found its target. Lieutenant Commander Jake Harris led the 77th Strike Squadron through the heart of the enemy formation. His fighter was small and fast. His hands moved across the controls with practiced ease. Fox 3 on the Morvath command ship, Jake announced as he fired his missiles. The weapons streaked toward the massive enemy vessel. They hit the bridge section and tore it apart. Scratch one enemy flagship. Around him, his squadron mates were doing the same. Human fighters dancing between enemy ships, striking at weak points, disappearing before anyone could hit them back. The coalition tried to adapt. They had prepared countermeasures against human weapons. New shield frequencies. New armor types. Electronic warfare systems. None of it mattered. The humans switched tactics. When one weapon stopped working, they used a different weapon. When the enemy adapted to that, they changed again. It was like fighting water. Every time the coalition thought they understood human strategy, it flowed in a new direction. On the ground, human marines boarded enemy ships that strayed too close to Earth's defenses. They wore powered armor that made them strong enough to tear through metal walls. Their weapons could cut through anything. Coalition soldiers who expected easy prey found themselves facing warriors who had trained for exactly this kind of combat. Sergeant Maria Lopez led her squad through the corridors of a Kathrani cruiser. The insect soldiers attacked with claws and energy weapons. They were fast and dangerous, but Maria's team was faster, deadlier. "Clear left," she called. Moving to the bridge. "Right side secure," her second-in-command responded. They reached the bridge in 4 minutes. The Kathrani captain tried to fight. He was brave. But bravery was not enough against human soldiers who had spent their lives preparing for war. "Secure the ship," Maria ordered. "Get the crew to the escape pods. We want prisoners, not corpses." The battle lasted 3 days. By the end, the coalition had lost 7,000 ships. The survivors ran in every direction, trying to escape the killing ground that the Sol system had become. Emperor Vecthos was among the dead. His dreadnought, the Pride of Kethra, had been targeted by 12 Terran destroyers at once. They tore it apart piece by piece. The Emperor died when his bridge was destroyed by a direct railgun hit. Admiral Bradley looked at the wreckage floating in space. Broken ships from a dozen species. Bodies drifting in the void. It was a terrible sight. "Send rescue ships to all debris fields," Scott ordered. "Anyone floating out there gets picked up. Human or alien. Treat the wounded. Feed the hungry. Show them mercy." Lauren Mitchell looked at him with surprise. "Sir, they came to destroy us. They came to enslave our people." "Yes, they did. And we stopped them. But we did not have to become monsters to defeat monsters. The war is over. Now we show them who we really are. Not just warriors, humans. Across the battlefield, rescue operations began. Coalition soldiers who had expected death found human hands pulling them to safety. Human doctors healing their wounds. Human officers offering them food and water that many of them would never forget. Many of them would carry this memory home. The humans could have killed them all. Instead, the humans chose mercy. That was perhaps the most frightening thing of all. The humans could destroy anything, but they chose not to. What kind of species had that much power and that much control? The answer was becoming clear to everyone in the galaxy. Humanity was not just strong. Humanity was something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. And now everyone would have to learn to live with that truth. 1 year had passed since the Battle of Sol. The galaxy was a different place now. The Kethrani Empire had fallen into chaos. Without Emperor Vecthos, the great hives fought each other for power. The empire that had ruled for 10,000 years was tearing itself apart. Their fleets were destroyed. Their pride was broken. They were no longer a threat to anyone. The Draven Syndicate had spent all their money on the war. They had borrowed from other species to build their fleet. Now that fleet was gone, and they could not pay their debts. The Syndicate was bankrupt. Their merchants begged for trade deals with anyone who would listen. The other coalition members were just as broken. Some had lost most of their military. Some had lost their leaders. All of them had lost their belief that they could stand against humanity. Peace had come to the galaxy. But it was a different kind of peace. Ambassador Daniel Morrison stood before the Galactic Confederation one more time. But this time, he stood at the high table. This was the place reserved for the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. For thousands of years, only the oldest species had been allowed to sit there. Now, humanity had earned its seat. We did not want this war, Daniel told the assembly. We spent 50 years trying to prove that we could be trusted. We showed you our worst ships and our weakest weapons because we wanted friendship, not fear. You laughed at us. You attacked our people. You forced us to show capabilities we wanted to keep hidden forever. He paused and looked at the alien faces watching him. Some showed fear. Some showed respect. Some showed anger. All of them were listening. But humanity is not interested in building an empire. We do not want to conquer your worlds. We do not want to enslave your people. We simply want to live in peace, to trade, to explore, to learn, to grow alongside the other civilizations of this galaxy. High Chancellor Zorvac spoke. He was still alive, though his power was greatly reduced after the war. His voice was humble now. The arrogance was gone. How can we trust you? Zorvax asked. You have shown us that you could destroy us all. What stops you from doing exactly that? Admiral Katie Sullivan stepped forward to answer. She had new medals on her uniform, new scars on her hands. She had led many battles in the past year. What stops us is the same thing that has always stopped us, Katie said. Our choice. If we wanted to destroy you, we would have done it already. We have weapons we did not use in the war. Weapons that could end civilizations in hours. We held them back because we believe in using only the force we need. Nothing more. She walked closer to the alien representatives. For 300 years, humanity faced the worst parts of itself. We had wars that nearly destroyed our planet. We had weapons that could have killed everyone on Earth. We survived because we learned to control our worst impulses. We learned that power without wisdom is nothing. We learned that destruction is easy, but building is hard. Ethan the Valori spoke. His light form was dim with sadness. We underestimated you. We saw your short lives and your soft bodies, and we thought we understood you. We were wrong. Yes, you were, Katie agreed. But being wrong is not a crime. What matters is what you do after you learn the truth. We are offering the galaxy a chance to start again. true partnership, true equality. We will share some of our technology with species who prove they can be trusted. We will help rebuild what the war destroyed. But in return, we expect respect. We expect honesty. We expect peace. The council voted that day. Humanity was given a permanent seat at the high table. New treaties were signed. New rules were written. The galaxy would never be the same. Across human space, life slowly returned to normal. On the colony world of New Seattle, Commander Ryan Peters had retired from active duty. The hero of Proxima spent his days teaching young officers at the Terra Naval Academy. He was not a commander anymore. He was just Professor Peters now. One afternoon, he stood before a class of new cadets. They were young and eager. They had grown up hearing stories about the war. They wanted to be heroes like the soldiers they had watched on their screens. Ryan looked at them with tired eyes. He had seen too much death to think of war as glorious. The lesson of the Coalition War is not that humanity is strong, he told his students. The lesson is that strength without wisdom is nothing. We won because we were prepared. Yes. We won because our technology was better. Yes. But we also won because we never forgot why we were fighting. A young cadet raised her hand. Her name was Lucy Grant. She was 18 years old with bright eyes full of questions. Why were we fighting, sir? Ryan smiled. It was a good question. Not for conquest. Not for glory. Not for revenge. We fought for survival. We fought for peace. Those sound like opposites, but they are not. Sometimes you have to fight to protect peace. Sometimes you have to show strength so that you never have to use it again. He walked to the window of the classroom. Outside, the sun was setting over the academy grounds. Young people in uniforms walked between buildings. Ships flew overhead toward the stars. We won the war, Ryan continued. That was the easy part. Now we have to win the peace. That is much harder. We have to prove that humanity deserves the power we showed the galaxy. We have to prove that we can be trusted with weapons that could end civilizations. Another cadet spoke. His name was Kevin Moore. Sir, do you think the aliens will ever truly accept us? Acceptance is not given. It is earned. We have shown them our strength. Now we spend the next century showing them our character. That is the real challenge ahead. Back on Earth, President Michelle Torres was signing documents in her office. The new Confederation Charter was almost complete. It was a treaty that recognized human military strength while creating rules for peaceful cooperation. It was not a perfect document. There were still species that hated humanity. There were still dangers in the dark spaces between stars. Peace was fragile and required constant work, but it was a beginning. General Nathan Price visited her that afternoon. He was very old now, close to 90 years. He had spent his entire career preparing for a war that finally came. Now the war was over, and he was trying to understand what that meant. We did it, Nathan said. We survived. We won, Michelle nodded. We did, but at what cost? Millions of aliens died. Thousands of our own people died. The galaxy will remember this war for 1,000 years. They will remember that we won. They will remember that we could have destroyed them and chose not to. That is not a bad legacy. Michelle looked out her window at the city below. Washington, D.C. had been rebuilt many times over the centuries. It had survived wars and disasters and everything else humanity had thrown at itself. Now it would survive this too. I am giving a speech tomorrow, she said. To all of humanity. I am not sure what to say. Nathan thought about it for a moment. Tell them the truth. We warned the galaxy. They ignored us. They learned. Now we all move forward together. That is all there is to say. The next day, President Torres addressed every human in the galaxy. Her words were broadcast to every colony, every ship, every station. Citizens of Terra and all human worlds, we have come through the fire of war. We have shown the galaxy what we are capable of when our existence is threatened. But our greatest strength was never our weapons. It was never our technology. It was never our ships or our soldiers. She paused, looking into the camera. Our greatest strength is our humanity. The mercy we showed to our enemies. The help we gave to those who tried to kill us. The choice we made to build instead of destroy when the fighting stopped. On New Seattle, Ryan Peters watched the speech with his granddaughter, Sophie. She was 10 years old with her grandfather's curious eyes. "Grandpa, why did they attack us if we told them we were strong?" Ryan put his arm around her. "Because sometimes people do not believe warnings until they see proof. The important thing is what happens next. We won the war. Now we have to win the peace. What does that mean?" He smiled at her innocence. "It means we have to be good. Not just strong. Good. Kind. Fair. We have to show the galaxy that they can trust us. That the same hands that built those terrible weapons can also build schools and hospitals and homes." Sophie thought about this. "Is that hard?" "Yes, it is the hardest thing there is. But it is also the most important." In the Great Hall of the Galactic Confederation, a new flag hung beside the banners of the ancient species. It showed a blue planet with one moon, Earth, Terra, home of humanity. The species who had laughed at Daniel Morrison 50 years ago were not laughing now. They were learning. They were adapting. They were beginning to understand that Terra had warned them. They had ignored the warning. They had learned the lesson in fire and blood. Now, perhaps, they could all move forward together. The stars shone above every world in the galaxy. The same stars that humanity had looked at for thousands of years. The same stars that had called humans to explore and discover and grow. Those stars belonged to everyone now. Human and alien. Old species and young. All of them sharing a galaxy that had finally learned an important truth. Do not ignore warnings from Terra. Humanity was here to stay.